Reflection helps you understand your life in a way you don't get when you're just rushing from one thing to the next. Hello, my lovely friends, and welcome to episode 166 and the final solo episode for the year. My name's Jo Clark, and I'm the host of the Redefining Midlife podcast. Now, well, I'm not sure about you, but I can't believe we're already here at the end of 2025. It has felt like the longest year and the fastest year all at once. Now, I know this time of year is both busy and stressful, so I just love the fact that you've carved out some time for yourself to listen in with me today. And before we get into today's conversation, I just wanted to quickly mention that I've created a free downloadable resource that's directly related to what we're talking about today. Think of it as my little end of year Christmas gift to you. And I'll share a little bit more about it later. But I think, well, actually, no, I'm absolutely certain this is going to be incredibly helpful for you as you head into a new year. Because today I want to talk about reflection. And I want to go a lot deeper than just simply ticking off a list of goals or writing down a few memories. I want to talk about the kind of reflection that has changed my life, shaped my own personal growth, and become one of the most powerful practices in my private mentoring work with women. Now, 5 years ago, I made a decision that I did not want to live a Groundhog Day kind of life. I didn't want to feel like every day was the same, or that I was drifting along doing the same things, thinking the same thoughts, and repeating the same cycles without even noticing. And I think a lot of midlife women are going to understand that feeling. The feeling that when you wake up one day and you realize that although you've been busy, you haven't always been intentional. You've been moving, but maybe not necessarily moving in the direction that you want. And for me personally, something shifted in me all those years ago. I realized that if I wanted to change things, if I wanted more meaning or more joy, more alignment, more direction, then it was up to me. I had to become aware of what I was doing, aware of what I was carrying, aware of what I was repeating, aware of the stories that I told myself and the habits that I had, aware of how I was spending my time, my energy, and my attention. Because you can't create change if you can't see yourself clearly. And that's when I began taking reflection really seriously. And it wasn't in a structured or a performative way. It wasn't in a way that made me feel like I needed to, inverted commas, fix myself. But it was actually in a way that allowed me to gently look back at the year and actually understand my own patterns. Because the truth of the matter is, and I'm sure you've heard this saying before, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And it hit me one day that I was doing exactly that in a few areas of my life. I just kept hoping that things would magically feel better or perhaps change on their own, which is just a joke because that's not going to be the case. And what I was doing was I wasn't actually looking at what I was doing that was keeping me stuck. So I had to take some ownership because I was the only person that was responsible for my life, no one else. I was responsible for whether or not I was happy or unhappy, satisfied or dissatisfied, excited or bored. You get the picture. So I began a brand new practice at the end of each year, and I'd sit with myself and ask some really tough questions. I'm not talking about those surface level ones, but the deeper ones. What did I learn? Where did I grow? Where did I fall back into old patterns? Where did I ignore my own needs? What lit me up? Where did I overextend? Did I take any brave steps, and what were they? Where did I hide and why? What did I take on that wasn't mine? And what do I want to take with me going forward? And what do I want to leave behind? And I can honestly say, 5 years on, this practice has fundamentally changed the way that I live. It has helped me to stay awake in my life rather than simply sleepwalking through it. It has helped me to become more intentional, more discerning, and more grounded. It's helped me to understand myself on a deeper level, understand my values, what triggers me, what my passions are, my boundaries, my emotions, my strengths. I know myself and who I am and what I want in this stage of my life way better than I ever have before. And it is one of the most powerful tools that I use in my private mentoring work. Because I cannot tell you how many times a client has said to me, I've never been asked that question before. Or I didn't realize that's what I've been feeling until I took the time to reflect and write it down and then say it out loud. Or something like, wow, I can see now why I keep on repeating that pattern over and over. There really is something very incredibly powerful about pausing long enough to truly see yourself. Reflection helps you understand your life in a way you don't get when you're just rushing from one thing to the next. Because reflection helps you to see the bigger picture. It helps you to notice the lessons that were hidden in the challenging moments that come up in our lives. And it even helps you to recognize the small wins that you would have otherwise overlooked. So in that way, it kind of helps you to connect the dots, both emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Reflection really does turn your own experience into wisdom. So that means that when you bring awareness to what's been happening, you actually gain some more power to choose differently next time. Because if you don't stop to look back, you just repeat it again and again. The trouble is you don't even realize you're repeating these things. So if you're serious about change, I mean real change, then awareness is that first step. Because you cannot create a brand new chapter while you're dragging old patterns and old stories with you. You just simply can't expand your life if you're living by some outdated beliefs. And you cannot step into a new year with clarity if you don't understand fully what shaped you in that last one. And that's exactly why I created the free reflection guide that I mentioned earlier. Now, it's not a fluffy feel-good document. It really is a very powerful tool for you. And it's one that is going to ask you questions that perhaps you may never have asked yourself. Some of the questions will feel gentle, some will feel big and stretchy, some might stir a little bit of emotion, and some will bring some clarity that you didn't even know that you needed. But all of them are designed to help you stop living life on repeat and then start living life on purpose. So here's how you can get your free copy of the 2025 Reflection Guide. You can head straight to my website, joclarkcoaching.com/reflect. So that's Joe Clark, no E's in either word, or simply just head to the show notes where you will find the direct link. And now, because this is my final solo episode for the year, I also want to reflect on this podcast and what a year it has been. Yet this podcast has continued to grow in ways that I could never have imagined when I first sat down and pressed that record. I've had more listeners, more downloads, more messages, and more new women finding the show from all across the world. It is astounding to me. And truly, whether you've been with me from the early days or you're only just discovering the podcast Redefining Midlife, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in week after week. Thank you for letting me into your ears while you walk or drive or fold the washing or make dinner. Thank you for being curious, for being open, brave, and willing to explore midlife in a brand new way. This podcast really is for you and for every single woman in her second half of life who wants to learn more about her health, her relationships, her identity, her purpose, her well-being. It's for the woman who feels like midlife is asking her to grow, but maybe she just doesn't quite know what growth looks like yet. And it's also for the woman who wants to feel seen, understood, and supported. And it means so much that you're here. I am truly grateful. I also want to thank the amazing guests who have joined me this year. I mean, it really is incredible. They have given up their time so generously, shared their personal stories, their expertise, their hard-earned wisdom. And I have had the absolute pleasure of interviewing the top experts in women's hormonal health, well-known authors and thought leaders in this space, and extraordinary everyday women who continue to lift and support other women to achieve and to live well. This year, we've covered everything from relationships to finance to menopause to mental health to travel to life transitions. Every single guest has added something very special and meaningful to this community of listeners. And I've also met some extraordinary women through this podcast, from the guests to the listeners who reach out, to the women who come to my events or join the Better Than Before membership, or step into private mentoring with me. Some of you have even become brand new friends. Some of you have become clients. And every single connection is just such a privilege that I'm deeply grateful for. So thank you for every single message, every review, every share, every moment of support this year. It truly helps this podcast reach more women in midlife who need it. And I also want to acknowledge that this time of year can feel especially heavy for some of you. This festive season simply isn't simple, and it sometimes isn't festive. It can bring up grief, complicated family dynamics, or loneliness, pressure, or just plain exhaustion. So please be kind to yourself. Give yourself the permission to do the things that feel grounding and skip those things that don't. And if you need that little bit of extra strength, go back and listen to episode 67 with psychologist Kirsten Bowes, because she shares such practical, compassionate ways to navigate what we called an imperfectly perfect Christmas. So now we're coming to the end of our 2025 podcast flow. And as I said earlier, I will be taking a short break for a couple of weeks, and I'll be back fresh in early 2026. But before I say goodbye, I just wanted to let you know and remind you that there are 165 episodes that you can binge on. And I wanted to share, before I stopped recording as well, to quickly share the top 5 listener favorites from the year according to the download numbers. Now, number 5 was episode 143, a solo episode, and it was all about how to stop overthinking and start taking action. Coming in at number 4 was Let's Talk About Sex in Midlife with my friend Dr. Shan Hebron. At number 3 was Before and After Retirement with best-selling author Beck Wilson. Number 2 was What Really Changes When Women Become Grandmothers with the super supportive and gorgeous Deedee Moore. And drumroll, number 1 was Hormones in Midlife Health with world-renowned researcher and endocrinologist Professor Susan Davis. Now, I'll pop the direct links to these 5 episodes in the show notes for you. If you just wanted to click on those, it'll take you straight there. But as we move into December, I just really wanted to encourage you to pause, take a deep breath, make space to reflect, and remember, look back, not with judgment, but with some curiosity and passion. Notice what shaped you. Notice how strong you were. Notice the things that mattered most to you. Notice what lit you up, what drained you, and notice what you're ready to release. And then gently begin imagining what you want for 2026. So don't forget that you can download that free reflection guide to help support you with this. It's my gift to you, and it's going to just walk you through this process in a very beautiful, formal way for you. You can find it at joeclarkcoaching.com/reflect. Remember, no E's in my name in either Joe or Clark, or just go straight to the show notes for the direct link. So in closing, I just hope the season brings you moments of rest, peace, and clarity. Please stay safe, stay well, and I cannot wait to be back with you in the new year. All the best, and bye for now. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate, follow, and share it with another incredible midlife woman. And join me next week as we keep creating an amazing second half of life.